Daniel Lorenzetti is a photographer who is mostly interested in photojournalism. Starting off, he was an investigative reporter in Washington, D.C. and worked as a White House staff intern. His work really started with the Image Expedition. That was a documentary photography project where he documented and preserved places and historic ways of living. Lorenzetti's main project, The Birth of Coffee, was published in the early 2000s. The project The Birth of Coffee was meant to enhance the individual's personal coffee experience. So many people all over the world drink coffee every day, and this book showcases the diverse places and processes involved in making a pot of coffee. The first image selected is named The Woman of San Juan. This image is important to photography because it captures the emotion of people working in the field. The black and white in this image adds contrast and allows the viewer to clearly see the shadows and highlights. It is easy to see the lines and wrinkles on the woman's face and hands, and this allows the viewer to infer that the work is very hard. This work is significant by contributing to the overall project of documenting coffee and the faces that make it accessible. The next image, titled In the Ground, was also taken in Guatemala. This image is important to photography by using the hands as leading lines to direct the viewer to the focal point of the coffee plant. This photograph would be classified as explanatory, that shows the process and care of planting coffee. The third image selected from this project is called Ladies of the Harar. This photograph travels the story of the coffee to Ethiopia. Lorenzetti continues his documentary with black and white photographs. This requires a stronger use of light to create effective composition. The lighting in the back of the photograph creates depth and space. This is also an aesthetic evaluative photograph. The composition of the image with the lines of the people along the uniform mound of coffee becomes an appealing view that Lorenzetti was able to capture. The Birth of Chocolate is another project and publication by Lorenzetti that captures process. This project was captured in color and shows the change that chocolate undergoes to get from the plant to our tables. This photograph is titled Cacao Beans Drying. This photograph contributes to the documentation and process. Lorenzetti's approach of angles captures the cacao beans at eye level instead of hovering over them. The photograph is also explanatory, capturing the man in motion working to dry the beans. The color in the series also makes bold statements. This next image is titled Inside the Cacao Pod. This documentative photograph emphasizes all of the detail inside the cacao pod. The focus in the foreground and the blurry background draws the eye to the most important part of the image. The focus also helps display the different layers that are within the cacao pod. The hands holding the cacao pod also show size in a way that the viewer would be able to relate to it. This photograph, titled Cacao Pods, is aesthetically evaluative. The unorganized collection of overlapping pods creates a collage effect, and the bold purplish red, contrasting with the yellow, makes the colors appealing to look at. The black knife on the left side of the image again shows size relation. Lorenzetti captures this photograph straight on, relying on the overlapping of the pods to create a sense of space. The last image selected from the series is titled Chocolate and Pod. This image shows the series from beginning to final product. The photograph is important and represents the process that Lorenzetti has been capturing along his journey. Daniel Lorenzetti's work captures the beauty and grit of past times in history through his photojournalism. He allows his viewers to be a part of other things happening around our world. This is especially important today as people are making strides to be more diverse and aware of the world we live in.